Hey, Homeschool Mom, welcome to today's podcast. This is Jenny here at the Homeschool Well, and today we are talking about homeschool fails. That's right, because we all fail at homeschooling. And so I am bringing you some of my biggest fails to hopefully help you so that these are not your fails as well. And right now it is mid-March as I'm recording this, and people are deciding about what they're going to do next year with their kids in the fall. Are they going to stay in traditional school? Are they going to go to private school? Maybe they want to homeschool, but they're too scared. And so we just want to encourage you that you can do it. And we actually just recorded a podcast a couple weeks ago about just do it, like do it scared. If you're thinking about homeschool, you just have to do it sometimes and do it scared and take the first steps. And we'll link that previous podcast in the show notes too. But anyway, some people really have a fear of failure, and it totally holds them back from what God has maybe intended for them to do. And we want to start with this verse that is one of my favorites, and I know I've mentioned it before on other podcasts, but really it's from Ephesians 3:20, and it's that He is able to do infinitely more than we might ask or think. So if we are stepping out on faith and we're trusting that He's put this thought in our head and God knows what He's doing, then this is something that we just have to do sometimes, is just have trust in Him and know that He has bigger plans than we can even imagine. So I just wanted to start with that encouragement. And we also want to share with you a little tool that you can use if you are just starting to homeschool. And it's at the homeschoolwell.com/checklist. And it's just 7 steps that you can do to start homeschooling if you've been thinking about it. And it will just take you baby steps, step by step in getting yourself established as a homeschooler in your state. So again, that's at the homeschoolwell.com/checklist, and you can check that out there and download it to help you just know what to do and do the next step. But anyway, this is a common theme that we hear, that moms are scared, or moms and dads are scared, and they're just afraid of failing, or they're afraid of screwing their kid up, or they're just afraid of all these different things that people mention. And newsflash, you are going to fail at some things. You are not going to be perfect. You are not Jesus, right? And that's what I've told my kids, and I've told the kids that I teach too. You are not Jesus, and I am not Jesus. And so we are going to be imperfect. And it's okay. We just need to do our best and learn from our mistakes. And we really need to just take our own advice. We tell our kids this all the time, right? Just give it a try, do your best. And as moms, we need to take our own advice, and we need to give it a try too, if that is something that God has put on our hearts to do. There will be things we fail at, and it's okay. You can't let it stop you from trying. So that said, I am going to share with you my failures today. I have 2 big ones that really, if I could go back and do things different, I totally would. But I have 2 big fails in my homeschool that looking back, I realized that were big fails. And just a backstory on me, I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old now, and I homeschooled for about 7 years. I pulled my oldest child out in 2nd grade. He just was not fitting in this public school box. And so we decided to get out. At the same time, my friend had told me about a hybrid homeschool, and it was kind of like homeschooling, but it was with help. Like they would do some of the lesson plans, I would do some things at home. So I was like, oh, perfect. This is a nice transition for me to start homeschooling my kid. And I actually had plans of like leaving him in this school. I never thought I would pull him out completely and homeschool him, which I actually ended up doing. But that's just our story. So I homeschooled him into high school. And at that point, he got accepted into a program at a local high school, and he wanted to try it, and he wanted to be on the swim team there with his friends and all this stuff. So he ended up going to public high school, and then COVID happened. So it just became a disaster. But anyway, that's a story for a different day. So my 2 homeschool fails are based on that experience I had, and I'm sharing them with you so that hopefully they will help you too. My first fail is that when we first left public school, my first fail is that I tried to duplicate school at home for my boy. I was a public school teacher and I had the background of, teaching a traditional school. And so I was like, perfect, we're going to do all the things at home and I'm going to sit my boy down and we're going to blast through a day in the life of what it would be like if he was still in public school. And I don't know why I thought that would work, because it wasn't working when he was in public school. Maybe I thought one-on-one would be easier. But it just created tension between us in our relationship and tension in our home, because that's not really what he needed. He's a very kind of free-spirited person and had a lot of interests, still has a lot of interests, and did not want to be confined to all of the things that I wanted to do. So part of the problem we had too was that we were in hybrid homeschool. So there were things we were required to do as part of that program. So we did, not have a ton of freedom because of that. There was some, but we still had a lot of things that we had to do for that school. So, I felt like it created a tension in our relationship right off the bat, getting started. And I also, looking back, realized that it didn't really respect him. Like I said, it didn't respect his personality and his wants and desires for the things he wanted to learn, right? I mean, when you're in second grade, you're naturally curious. And it's when the kids get, it's when kids get older that we kind of beat it out of them, that we've just worn them down with all the things that we want to push on them. And, at that point, grades shouldn't have mattered in second grade. Grades don't matter in elementary school, and even in middle school, they don't really matter very much. It should be more of a time of learning what kids want to know and giving them a lot of choice in their schooling. So I do regret that. That was a fail, and it just got us started off on the wrong foot. And so anyway, that is the first one for me, is that I just tried to do school at home with him. And I shouldn't have. I should have completely taken him out, and we should have just done our own thing. And it took me a couple years to realize that that is what we needed to do. So that's my first big fail. The second big fail I had was in math. As we went through the hybrid homeschool, we were only there, I think, 3 years. And then we ended up pulling him out completely. But I was so thankful that I wasn't having to battle him on some subject areas like math, that I totally let the teacher at that school, the teachers in, consecutive years, deal with it. I did what we were supposed to do at home, but I should have been monitoring more closely his knowledge of math, because when you are in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, around there, those are huge years in number sense. Like, I think he missed a big chunk of number sense and foundational skills at that age, like decimals and fractions and how they're all related, like percentages. I think he missed a big piece of that. And when I ended up taking him out of school, I started to realize it. And so we ended up doing teaching textbooks curriculum, and it was all online. And I was like, oh, perfect, because I had another child at home I was homeschooling. I was also working from home part-time. And I was like, oh, he can do this thing on the computer. It'll be awesome. Well, later on, I realized he had been working the system, like basically just learning how to get the right answers and like basically just figuring out how to cheat the system. And no matter what curriculum we ended up choosing, he would end up doing that. So I'm putting this out there as some advice that I really should have sat with him more and given him some remedial things to make sure he had those foundational pieces. And also, I didn't really test him until he was a little bit older in math. Like in Florida, you're able to do portfolio evaluations. And so that's what I did. So it was a little bit later that I started testing him and I was realizing, oh my goodness, he has some huge gaps in his math knowledge. And still like, and I think he ended up not doing great in high school math. We got him a tutor and everything. And I think still he now has kind of a thing against it, like a psychological fear of math because he felt like he couldn't do it for such a long time. So anyway, I'm just putting that out there because that was a big fail of mine. Like I just should have been more in tune with his math knowledge and maybe done some testing earlier on or, every other year, every 2 years, so that I could see where he had gaps in his education. And I just thought, oh, I'm a teacher, I know, blah, blah, blah. And we were just going, moving on to the next thing. So anyway, that was another fail I had, and I feel bad about it. But once a kid gets to be a certain age, it becomes their responsibility. And I have gaps in my knowledge from public school as well. I don't know about you. I realized that I learned nothing in history or geography my entire life of school. I'm sure I did, but none of it was impactful enough to make any sense to me or help me remember any of it or anything like that. I have large gaps that way, and I also have big gaps with like measurement. I don't know. I think there must have been a push in the 80s for kids not to learn inches and feet and yards and ounces and pounds and all of that. I only knew the metric stuff from science, So as a young adult, I was realizing, okay, I have some huge gaps in my knowledge as well. And I'm sure you do too. We all do. There's no perfect education. There's nothing perfect. So anyway, those are my two biggest fails. Just trying to do school at home instead of working within my family and what worked best for us. And also just that math piece of not paying closer attention. So I am sharing this with you today so that hopefully you will learn from it and glean from it. And next week, actually, Kim will be sharing her biggest homeschool fails. I think I know what she's going to say, but I know that she has some that we've shared before, she and I, over the years. So she's going to share with you hers, and hopefully it will give you some encouragement because no one is perfect at this. We all just are doing our best. And that's why being together with other homeschool moms can really help learn. You can help learn from others' wisdom and their experiences. And it's really impactful when you surround yourself with a community of people who are like you. So if you are in need of a community, we definitely have that and would love for you to check us out at thehomeschool.com/community. We have weekly live meetings where we meet together. We talk about things like this. It's really helpful when you can just talk through some of these issues and have the wisdom of other homeschool moms to help you. It just makes it so much easier and more enjoyable. So everyone needs that, right? Check us out, thehomeschool.com/community, and we hope to see you there. We just want to thank you for joining us today. And if this was helpful to you, please leave us a review. We would love it, and share with a friend. Thanks for joining us, and see you soon. Bye.